So, I mean, at this point in my career, I'm probably at like 650 of total transactions.
600. You guys, I hope you heard that.
Yeah.
650 total transactions this guy has closed.
That's total. About 200 of them are fix and flip.
Dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of experience you get from closing 650 escrows.
There is.
I mean, can you imagine? That's a big boy number, man.
Thank you.
All right. Well, welcome to another episode of the High Stakes Deals. And I'm very pleased to be joined today by none other than Gabe Cole, who is a real estate agent, investor, coach, and I would say a real estate expert. So thank you for making the trek up here today.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Awesome, Brandon. Thank you for having me. It's really good to get together in person, and your persistence has been phenomenal, right? Because I think we were talking about this back in like April. So we're probably going on like 7 or 8 months
Dude,
now.
7, 8 months. I've been like a drop of water, bro.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you, I'm trying to get people on, and I got all these people that are in Orange County and Inland Empire and other places, and I'm like, please deal with the LA traffic. Come up for one hour and let's talk. You know?
Us Orange County people, we don't get up to LA that often. We're in the bubble.
Dude, that is so funny. And then you look at like San Diego. If you talk to somebody that's in San Diego, forget about it. There's no way they're going north more than 10 miles. Like it is so funny how Southern California works that way.
Well, I went to college in LA, so I used to live here, so I know what it's like. But I went to USC.
Oh, okay. Yeah. SC, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. That's another funny thing. Everybody, it's like you either got SC or UCLA, right? And I guess they're kind of rivals a little bit, or maybe a big amount.
100%. Yeah. We're a split family. So my parents, UCLA, and my wife and I, USC.
USC.
Yeah.
Nice. What'd you go to school for?
Actually, real estate. I did business school, and I actually am one of those people that actually ended up using their degree because real estate finance and development was my emphasis.
That is so nice to hear, because I'll tell you, like as a parent, I've got 3 kids, and it's a little scary, the idea of college, for a lot of reasons. But and by the way, my oldest just barely went to kindergarten, just started kindergarten a couple weeks ago, and it's a whole nother experience of like homework and just a bunch of stuff that as a parent we never had to deal with. And so it's funny how you go through these little stages, but I think about college and I look at like so many people that go and they get like bullshit degrees, or they drop out, or they spend 10 years at a community college, and then you look at the other side of it, the people that like get legit degrees or things they're going to use, like it sounds like you have, or doctor or lawyer or whatever. But it's like, dude, I want my kids to go to college if they're going to take it seriously, but if they're going to go mess around, like it's not something that I certainly don't want to pay for it, and I don't want them to pay for it with student loans or waste a bunch of time if they're not, right? And I think that's like a big issue that you're seeing with kids nowadays.
100%. And I'm a little ahead of you, so I just dropped my firstborn, my daughter, off at college about a month ago.
Were you crying on the way back?
Oh, yeah, 100%, like a baby.
That's a tough one, bro. Yeah. Oh man,
it is. So we'll talk more about that offline, and you got some time to prepare.
Man,
but
I'm gonna take
fast.
some notes from you, bro, because every stage is a little bit different. I'm finding out quickly. My son's already coming back with like new words and like just all his buddies, and they're so far I haven't gotten called in the principal's office, but I know it's coming, and I'm just like, oh God.
Exactly.
Oh man. Yeah. So listen, one of the things I wanted to jump right into, I've known you for a little bit on and off, obviously through mostly social media. I know that we have my brother-in-law worked on your real estate team, and dude, I've been like such an awe on everything you're doing. I mean, your sales, going to events, it seems like you take marketing and branding very seriously. You've got this whole investor side of your business, flipping homes. So we're going to get into that. But one of the things I wanted to start with was, per your profile, $700 million in career sales. Can we unpack that for a minute? Like that's a big number. Let's talk about that for a moment.
It just means I'm getting older. Yeah. That's all it means. I've been in the business a long time. So I got into the real estate business literally right out of college.
Okay.
21, I got licensed. Right in. I knew that I was always interested in real estate, and it was either going to be commercial or residential. Mm-hmm. And honestly, just residential appealed more to me. Like I feel like I'm more of a people person. Yeah. Commercial is definitely more numbers, analytical. And look, I have to get analytical on my investments as well. Yeah. But I've always found myself like just being more of a people person. I enjoy conversing with people, and there was a little bit more. Not a little bit more, a lot more of that, personal touch in the residential space. So I decided to go into residential when I was 21. So I was a kid selling homes.
How was that? You put on the tie and start banging on doors, sitting open houses?
Yeah, I mean, literally first 10 years of my career, I wore a tie every day.
Every day.
You know, it's gotten, you know, today's day and age. I mean, this is back in 2002.
People are a little more casual now.
People are a little bit more casual now. They are. But I dressed for the role. Like, you know, one, I was really young, and obviously you go through mindset shifts as you get, you know, older into the business or in life in general. But I would always think, like, who's going to trust a kid to sell their biggest investment, their home, right? So I did everything that I possibly could to be prepared. And Smart. I got a great mentor. I actually, my father-in-law was my mentor.
Okay. You know, he was a broker or agent.
He was a very successful broker in Orange County, and he took me under his wing and taught me the ropes. And so two things that come to mind for me when you're looking at, you know, what's important when you're getting started in any business is one, preparation and doing the homework and actually showing up, but being prepared.
Yeah.
And two is accountability. And I had not only, you know, a great mentor, but it was also my father-in-law. So I had just
don't want to let him down.
I just married his daughter. That was probably about the highest level of accountability.
You don't want to be a Christmas dinner or something, you know? Yeah, right. And let him down. Yeah.
You know, because he's looking at you know, me to take care of his daughter and family as well. Yeah.
He's like, hey, come on, we got to step it up.
There's no slacking off there.
No slacking off on that one.
Yeah.
So what do you think though? So, okay, if somebody is starting off, you know, someone gets their license, first of all, they're going to get, you know, 42 postcards from every broker. Come check out our brokerage. You know, we have training, we have this. And the common theme that I have heard, and I've been there too, right? Because I started very young in real estate. I think I was 19 when I got licensed. But the common theme that I hear from a lot of people, including someone I was talking to recently, is that, you know, they get sold on this idea of going to this big company. It could be Coldwell Banker, Keller Williams, not to call any of those guys out, but whoever it is. And it's like, we have training, we have all these things. Yeah. And they get there and they feel like they're just another like number on the board. They feel like they're in the sea of people, but they're so alone. They don't know really what to get going. They're getting fed, you know, like fast food, you know, size of information, you know, every day, do this and do that. But at the end of the day, they're sitting there and they're just not really sure. They're not getting momentum, not sure how to get momentum. Yeah. You know, what do you recommend for those agents that are starting and they're in that situation?
I mean, it's a great question because there's a lot of options out there.
Yeah.
And I think for someone who's new in the business, you need to look at joining a brokerage or a team that is going to give you really, you know, good guidance and really like show you the ropes and teach you what
even
to
if the
do.
split's lower. Don't be so split. Don't be so split focused, guys. Right? Correct. Is that what you're saying? Like get the 30%, the 40%, the 50% split, whatever it is on the team, and get some volume, some experience versus sitting there just thinking you're going to get 60 or 70% or whatever of nothing.
Yeah, you can earn a much higher split, but if you go in there and you have no direction and you don't know what to do, you're going to be working for a year or two for free
without a sale.
So why not go to a team or somewhere where you're going to actually get leads delivered to you and then guidance on how to speak to them, what to do. You know, when you get into a transaction, someone that's going to guide you on, you know, how to navigate this transaction, how to do it when problems arise. Because in real estate,
every single deal,
every time. Yeah.
I've yet to see a deal that closed on time and didn't have a problem, didn't have some issue with it.
It's rare.
You know, it's very rare.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you go, wow, was there something wrong? Something I missed? What's going on? It's like eerily quiet. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So when you started, did you start in coastal Orange County?
I started in like Laguna Niguel, California, which is coastal Orange County.
Okay.
Like was there for the first 10 years of my career, and then I moved up to Newport Beach. You know, I was strategic in really wanting the first 10 years of my career. I started in condos because that's where I was comfortable. I was a kid, and I felt like
a lot of first-time home buyers.
A lot of first-time home buyers, and so I would say for the first like 3 years of my career, I was knocking on doors. I was going to condo communities, that kind of stuff. And then my price range started inching up, and the market was going up at the same time.
What year was this, by the way? Which years?
I mean, I started in 2002.
Okay.
And, you know, I would say from like 2002 to, you know, it took me about 18 months to really get going.
Yeah.
First 6 months was like pretty much training before I got my first sale.
Of course. That makes sense.
And then from 6 months to 18 months, you know, I sold probably like 15 homes during that time because
you just took off the curve, accelerated.
Yeah, exactly. But at the time, you know, I would look at higher price points and, you know, I would be like, oh, I can do that. I can do that. Now I've got experience, right? Do I think someone can start in the higher price points? Yeah, it's definitely possible to start in the higher price points, but you really got to get your stuff down because you're dealing with a much more sophisticated clientele.
Right.
They're going to be asking you questions. You can't BS through those questions. Right. You got to know your stuff.
Their patience for certain answers is probably a lot less when you start getting into the higher
and
deals.
They're going to see right through it because they've typically sold multiple homes or they've bought multiple homes in their life. And so, you know, I would cut your teeth on the lower price point to like really know you understand all the fundamentals and everything.
Yeah.
And then like after I was in the business for 10 years, I'm like, okay, I want to go to a higher price point. What do we have to do? And really, you need to be there.
Yeah.
So we moved to Newport Beach after 10 years, and
you got to walk the walk. You got to be in the community. You got to be at the restaurants and the parks. You got to be, you got to be there, right? Yeah. It's different just driving in.
Exactly.
When I started, so I was in Murrieta, Temecula, where I graduated high school, and similar type thing. I worked under my dad, started getting a lot of momentum. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing some open houses in Corona and Riverside. And then I was like, one day, like, let me do some open houses in Huntington Beach or whatever, right? And then it became a point where I was driving in Orange County constantly, but I was still, you know, this young kid full of piss and vinegar living out in the Inland Empire out in Murrieta, trying to drive over the hill every day and talk to somebody about their house in Huntington or wherever. And so it came that time where I had to do the same thing. It was like, okay, I gotta leave dad's shop over here. And I went to Coldwell Banker in Newport Beach, Fashion Island.
Yep.
But it's interesting that you started in 02 before the crash. And that was kind of me too. I got in 05, so 3 years after you.
What year were you, sorry to interrupt, but what year were you at Coldwell Banker?
I was at Coldwell Banker. I went there with Rick Jenkins, Manny Stellino, all those guys. I went there right at the end of 09. It might have been just the start of 2010. And my license was there with them for about 4.5 years.
Got it. Because I was in that same office probably around 2015.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That literally would have been right when... Actually, okay, that's right. Because I remember Miguel saying he was going over to the same office. Yeah. That was funny. That's before they remodeled it and everything else.
Small world.
Yeah. Dude, what a great location that office is. Well. I mean, the best. Fashion Island, you can't beat that.
Absolutely.
But, you know, I think that getting in right before the crash, I think sharpened a lot of us that did. Because we got a little taste of the market and then things got all messed up. And then it was like, what's a short? I mean, at least for me, I was like, a short sell? I'd never even heard of a short sell. A bank owned? You know, the properties can go down in value. I mean, I can still remember the first time that I got a call from an appraiser saying, it's not going to come in at value. I'm going, is that even possible? I'm calling my dad. Hey, does it work like this?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, it does work like this. The market's changing, you know, but it sharpened us all up. And it also cleared the deck because a lot of people got out of the business in 2008, 9, 10, whatever, until it really kind of started leveling out. But I think it was for me, I think it was a good experience earlier in the career to kind of get that bump. I don't know how you feel about it, but versus getting in and it's only gone up for 10 years and you're over leveraged and you think the sky can't fall kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, look, the way I look at it, and when I look back at my career, and people can kind of hopefully get some takeaways from this, is that it really forced me to learn how to adapt.
Yeah.
And you know, you have something that's working and it's working really well. I mean, 3 years into the business, I was doing over $500,000 in gross commission income a year. Yeah. I was a kid, 24, 25 years old.
Right? That changes things fast.
And then like that, you know, the market reversed, right? 2007, 2008.
The brakes hit.
And I started seeing my income coming down. I'm like, wait, no, I've only gone up every year, right?
What's going on here? What's wrong with this?
What is this? And then, you know, we got involved in the short sales where at the very beginning, we would get a listing and we would try on a short sale for 9 to 12 months. And then because the banks didn't know what they were doing. And then they would come back and reject it and it would go to foreclosure.
Yeah.
And you'd put all this work into a property. I'm like, okay, something's got to change here because 100%. Like I'm spending all this money marketing. Like I was farming neighborhoods. At the time it was Ladera Ranch.
Okay.
And I was, you know, spending thousands every month on postcards and newspaper ads.
Dude, and by the way, how marketing has changed, right? Because I mean, if you look at even just 2004, 5, 6, whatever, how we used to market, it was really heavy postcards, like you said, and magazines. And, you know, obviously all that stuff still exists and people still do it. I mean, we do a little bit of it. I'm sure you do some of it, but how it's gone to the digital age just in those last 20 years. I mean, it's like, it's crazy how marketing it's really changed.
Big time.
But it's interesting because like you said, if you're at a point where you're spending money on marketing, your sales are dropping, the market's turning, you know, what do you do?
Yeah.
Or what did you do?
You got to shift and adapt. So I went to where the transactions were. We started figuring out how to get in with banks and we started doing REOs.
Yep.
And so we started doing broker price opinions, BPOs, and we would do all these BPOs and then hope to get in with the bank where they would choose us and get a listing. So we started working with those relationships and started working with banks. And then we started working more short sales.
Yep.
And really,
short sale negotiators and all the stuff that came out of nowhere. Exactly. Never heard of that one before. Yeah.
And that when I look back at my career, because that's around the time that I started flipping houses.
Okay.
Because I ended up working with investors first before I became an investor.
Yep.
And so
you see these guys making the money and see the mistakes they make and also their successes, so you could kind of figure it out, right?
I was helping some guys that were buying at the courthouse steps, and I would run all of their valuations for them, and they would actually be the one to buy it, and they would then rehab it, and then I would relist it for them.
Yeah.
And so, as time went by, that I started learning more and more about that side of the business, and I was like, well, I can do this.
Yeah.
And so I knew all the process for the brokerage side, right?
Yep.
So I had a learning curve to figure out, okay, what do I need to do on the investment side?
Yep.
Well, I got to have the money for it. That's what stops most people, right?
You've 100%.
And they go,
how the hell am I going to pay for this thing?
Yeah. And that's where it ends, right? Because they're like, oh, I don't have money to do it, or I don't have a credit score to be able to do it. Well, you don't have to have that. You can figure out ways to do it. So that's what I did. Yeah. I went to friends and family, and I started raising at the time, which seemed like a lot at the time, but a lot less than I raise today. I would raise 50 to 100 grand.
Yep.
And we would have enough then to go buy a flip.
Yep.
And we would flip it, and we would turn around, the investor would get their money back, and then I would go and do it again.
Wow.
And so, I do the same thing today, but just bigger, at a different scale.
Different scale. Yeah. How many of your sales at that, back then, and as you've kind of progressed in your career, were properties that you purchased for yourself to invest versus like conventional listings that you were getting from people?
Yeah. So, at this point in my career, I'm probably at like 650 of total transactions.
600. You guys, I hope you heard that. Yeah. 650 total transactions this guy is closed.
That's total. About 200 of them are fix and flip.
Dude. Wow.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of experience you get from closing 650 escrows.
There is.
Can you imagine? That's a big boy number, man.
Thank you.
That's good. I can see why you're doing the coaching and building the team, and it's amazing. Yeah. To be able to do 700, because 700 million in volume, let's say over 20 years, that's about 35 million a year, right? Mm-hmm. I think. And I'm sure there are different years, whatever, and it took off, but those are big numbers, man.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's not easy to do. You can't do that as a part-time agent.
No.
You can't do that messing around and I'm going to work some job and then go show my auntie a house on Saturday or something.
No, you cannot. I've been literally 100% dedicated to my profession since I got out of college.
What do you tell agents that want to come on your team but they want to work part-time?
I don't take part-time agents.
Boom. Draw the line right there.
Yeah. It's just, it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to do this business as a full-time agent.
Yeah.
If you're just going to do it part-time, like it's just a hobby and you're just going to hope that you run into a family member or someone that wants to do something.
Yeah.
That's not a business.
Well, from what
I'm not saying you can't do it,
but
but it's just, it typically is not going to work. You might sell a house.
You might get lucky.
Yeah.
What's interesting? I've seen people try to do that. And in my experience, it's always the people that are working part-time that want to sell their auntie's house or something that, and you end up finding out that their auntie listed with somebody else that was a full-time agent. Yeah. And then they're pissed off like, damn, my own aunt didn't even, list their house with me. Well, because your aunt knew that you were just messing around really at the end of the day. Yeah. That's how it is. You're either in or you're not in this business.
No one really wants to list their house with someone who's doing this as a hobby.
Yeah.
Like,
do you want to listen? If you were going to court and you had a serious, allegation of a crime against you, you want to hire a part-time lawyer,
100%,
or a part-time mechanic, or a part-time heart surgeon. Yeah. That's a scary one to think about.
Correct.
Not saying we're doing heart surgery over here, but we're doing some pretty big stuff in the real estate space. Come on, we got to have a little credit us brokers and agents.
Yeah.
Oh man. So okay. So then just kind of one thing I want to talk about and kind of fast tracking into like today. So over the last handful of years, we've seen companies, like EXP and Real, and I'm sure I'm forgetting, 5 others that I would probably remember if you said, but these, what I would call sort of like digital / technology brokerages, a lot of them that are kind of pitching the idea, again, from my understanding, that, hey, we're going to have this really cool digital infrastructure. We're going to do lots of Zooms and occasional meetings and whatever, and you're going to have people in these key areas to recruit and do things. But we don't have the heavy infrastructure of having these huge brick and mortar offices. And we have things like, caps on commissions, and we even have stock options where you can get stock in the company. And this kind of came, from what I've seen at least, kind of came about the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years. I don't know. I know like EXP, for example, has been around for a long time, but But it really kind of took off, it seems like, over the last handful of years. And I know a lot of people that are at these various brokerages. You're at Real, right? You run your own team there, but you're affiliated or connected with Real. And so, yeah, maybe unpack that a little bit, because I'm very curious. And I think a lot of our viewers would be like, kind of what the differences are of those types of brokerages versus the brick and mortar, and why even someone that sold $700 million of real estate chose to go more that path versus the maybe a little bit more of a dinosaur brick and mortar brokerage.
Yeah, no, I mean, great question. And there's a lot to unpack here.
Of course.
I don't think anyone can say that it's good that there's all these flavors and options, right?
Yeah.
Because not one brokerage is going to be a fit for every personality or every agent, right? So, there could be a Compass or a Coldwell Banker that's local to your area that might be a phenomenal fit for you, right?
Right.
I am very entrepreneurial, and this is why I like the Real model. One, you can earn a lot more money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, they have great training. Yes, they have great culture. When it comes down to it, like the way that the splits work, and you only pay your broker $12,000 a year.
That's it, huh?
I mean, you can pay, if you're producing at a high level, you can pay your brokerage easily 6 figures a year.
100%. So Real caps at 12,000. Is that for everybody or just certain?
No, for everyone.
So they if they make a $12,000 bill from you, which in most sales nowadays, that might be the first. I mean, I don't know. So, well, let me back up.
If you hit about $80,000 a year in gross commission income,
okay,
then you cap.
What is the underlying split typically? And that probably varies for agents, but like, let's say, are they taking like 20% of the deal until they get their $12,000 or something to that effect?
85-15.
Okay, so they're taking 15%.
They're taking 15% of
until
every deal.
They get 12,000 for the year, and then you're capped.
Then you're capped for the year.
And then everything you sell, and then I'm assuming there's probably errors and omissions, some other little admin fees, but it's probably nominal.
You pay about $285 per transaction after you've capped.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What a nice advertisement for Real here. That's not bad, people.
So
that's pretty good.
Look, you don't just go to a company, just like I said earlier, just because they've got lower splits, right? They have to offer more.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's great teams at Real. So if someone is looking for a team, whether it be my team or someone else that I can find across the country, like, they can reach out to me. I can connect them with that team.
Yeah.
And then there's a sponsorship component to it, just like EXP.
Interesting. So when you say sponsorship, is that, by the way, is that kind of the nice way to say when people would say like the MLM model?
Yeah,
where like
absolutely.
By the way, I know not, but people would always say like about Keller Williams, like that's kind of like a pyramid thing, because you're really trying to just get people under you, which I don't see any problem with. I don't see it as a pyramid scheme. I think it's like the reality is that if you're recruiting people to the company and they're producing, it's kind of nice that the company takes care of you. So Real has that same.
They have that same, whether you call it MLM or network marketing, right? It has that component to it. But no one is signing up for an auto ship of juice getting sent to them every month, right? It's not. It's not something like that.
It's not Mona V. Yeah, no offense, Mona V, but or Amway or whatever
Yeah. So that being said, they do not have brick and mortar offices unless a group or a team create their own.
So there's a lot of agents in Orange County, like where you are. Maybe your team, I think you have recently.
Yeah,
opened an office, right?
And I'll talk about that. But
so if there's a team, they can open up the brick and mortar themselves, kind of thing. Yeah.
But Real in itself is saving all of this money because they don't have leases, right?
Can you imagine how much money Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Keller Williams, these offices spend every year just on their office rent?
There's a lot,
and the utilities and all the shit that goes into the office.
There's a lot of fat. That's why they have to charge that, and they can't. They have to be an uncapped model,
right?
Because they have to keep the doors open,
right?
So with Real, getting back to the sponsorship, they don't have people on their team that are dedicated like employees that are recruiting. Or you think of like a Keller Williams team leader. They're in charge of cold calling
all day
agents,
long, trying to get people over.
They don't have those salaries. So instead, when agents spread the word about the company when they're happy with it, and someone else joins, then that agent can partake in the revenue of whoever they bring in.
Oh, okay.
And then it goes down 5 levels. So like if I were to bring in you,
and I brought a person,
and you brought someone in, it goes down 5.
Wow.
So there's a lot of people that have made a substantial income from it.
And how long does that last?
And as long as the agent's with the company.
It's infinite, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. And so that's not okay. Wow. That's pretty good.
And you can also set up a spouse or a significant other to basically will your rev share to them.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how do they quantify it? I mean, I'm sure there's a more complicated formula of some sort, but does it end up working out to be some type of percentage or typical amount of someone selling? You get 5 people under you, you might make $500 a month on each of them, or $1,000 a month on each. It depends on what they're selling, obviously.
It's all based on revenue. So it's based on sales, and it's, really simple. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5% of your first level. So if I brought you on and you're paying $12K because you're a capping agent, then I would get $4K of that.
Oh, wow.
But it's not coming off your side. It's coming off Real's side.
Wow.
So you pay it no matter what.
Wow.
But, it makes sense to have an agent that's a mentor and someone that you can bounce ideas off of and help you get integrated into the company.
Like you said, it's no cost to the person that's coming in.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So they do that, and then what else? What are else? I mean, the stock options thing, right? I call it stock options, but they're a public company, right?
It is a public company.
I believe. I think I've seen NASDAQ. The ticker. I think I've seen the videos. Okay.
Yeah, they've even been on the on the marquee over in Times Square.
There you go.
Like they're on the NASDAQ. So you can get actually stock just for doing the things you're already doing, like selling houses. They give you stock options when you actually just hit certain benchmarks. Like for the biggest benchmark, which I'm an elite agent, they call it. It's the highest level.
Well, you're typically you're the $700 million.
But you don't have to sell that much. You can do, if you sell in $1 million plus area, if you sell 10 homes at $1 million or more, you're an elite agent.
Okay.
If you are not in that price point and you cap and then sell an additional like 25 homes, you're an elite agent.
Okay.
So even if you're selling $200,000 or $300,000 homes,
sense.
You can still be an elite agent. And when you do that, they give you up to $24,000 back in stock.
Wow.
Every year you're there.
So how does it work? Because sometimes when I hear stock options, I think it's like, okay, you have an option to purchase at a certain price. I guess that would be.
They give
this
it
is
to
like, these are like,
they're
they
grants.
give
They're
okay,
grants,
granted, okay, and they give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a vesting period, like with any company, if they're giving you stock in the company. But
how long do they require it to be vested for?
3 years.
3 years. Okay, so you can't sell them for 3 years.
Correct.
But wow, I mean, what is Real trading right now? Do you know?
It's I think in the fives.
In the fives?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Interesting. 500 something?
No, $5 a share.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sitting here going, that's an expensive. Yeah. So $5 a share. Wow, that to me that seems like there's probably a lot of runway for it to go up. Then $5 a share is a pretty good starting point.
Yeah. And it was 3 years ago or something. It was at $1 something a share. So it's definitely been going up, but we're still early. We just hit 30,000 agents.
Well, that's quite a bit.
But there's room. There's room for us to grow to easily over 100,000.
Yeah. Oh, well, I bet. I mean, California alone, the old joke is like, when people get pulled over, the cops are going to start asking them to show their real estate license because more people have those than the driver's license. So there's a lot of realtors in California, but a smaller group, obviously, the ones that are good and take it seriously. Yeah. But man, that's a really amazing, value proposition from that company. And it's there was in the news this week, I think Compass just bought
Anywhere.
Yeah. And that was that's going to be a huge, I know they got to get it through approval and everything. It'll close next year, but
most people don't know what Anywhere is, but that's the brand that, owns the franchises for Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Sotheby's, ERA.
A huge, kind of like with Coldwell Banker. I know there's a group called NRT. I think it's NRT.
Uh-huh.
And they own a bunch of, I think, primarily Coldwell Bankers. But yeah, Anywhere is another one of those groups that has something similar, huh? They have a huge, wow. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting. You look at kind of the landscape of, these real estate brokerages recently. I mean, between the whole shakeup that we have with this whole commission thing, right? And I want to unpack that for a minute too. And then some of these, acquisitions that have happened and mergers, and it's been an interesting time for the real estate brokerage market. But what do you think about the new commission law? Fan of it, not a fan of it, doesn't matter one way or another. It feels to me like we've kind of gotten past the initial period of all the agents and brokers, at least a lot of the ones I knew that were just pissed off about it. They're like, changing the, because it's like anything else. You're setting your ways for a while, and this is how we always did it. And now they're changing it up on us. And it was like this huge thing, like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And now we got to do this whole different thing. And is anybody going to pay commissions? And, but it feels like now that's kind of, everyone's taking a deep breath and we've kind of figured out how to proceed. Like, what's your take on it?
I mean, it was just, we had to adapt to it, but it's a non-issue. I mean, it's just, you need to now know how to explain it to your clients. And I believe commissions have actually gone up a little bit since this has happened.
Interesting.
Yeah, because now commission is up front and it's negotiated into the contract, right? And so different agents run their businesses different ways.
How do you guys do it?
So the way
take a buyer, let's say.
If we work, for me or my team, if we work with a buyer, we charge 2.5%, and we write that in the offer.
Right.
Now, in some cases, the seller can counter that back.
I'm only going to pay 2%.
I'm only going to pay 2%. I just had this happen. Well, just like a buyer hiring an attorney to represent them, right? If the seller will absolutely not pay the full amount, then the buyer is responsible for that additional 0.5%.
And are you guys typically of the mindset that the buyer's still on the hook for that additional?
Yeah.
Because that's a service you guys agreed to.
That's a service that we've agreed to. They, on a property I just negotiated, I saved them $15,000. They were willing to go $15,000 higher. So my 0.5% is less than that anyway. So I'm still saving them money, and I got them the deal in a multiple offer situation,
which is tough to do.
Which it was the house they wanted. We were competing against 4 other offers. I built rapport with the agent. I, friended him on I followed him on Instagram. Like, I had multiple calls with him. He knew me by the time it was ready to accept an offer. I found out he flips properties. I told him I flip properties. Like, all the stuff you do when you want to build a relationship or rapport with someone, you want to be the one to be able to try to get the inside scoop.
Of course.
When it's time for decision-making time.
100%.
So, I got them that deal. I think if they had another agent representing them, they very likely couldn't have gotten it. So yeah, I do a service for my clients and we get paid. And if the seller is paying a certain amount, like, this is what we've agreed to with the buyer up front.
Yeah.
And I explain it to them in the presentation. This is how it works. We could get it all from the seller. Sometimes they could counter back. If we want, option A is counter them again and say, no, we're including it with the offer, or B, then you could cover the difference.
Yeah. I mean, have you had any buyers since the change that have pushed back and not wanting to sign the co-op form or not wanting to pay the agree on the fee?
Not really. No. I mean, for the way I've been running my business lately is, when I say lately, the last several years, but like, I'm not cold calling for business anymore.
Yeah.
Like, all my business is coming to me from referral.
You just have a billboard on the 405, the $700 million man.
Really, it's all past clients and referrals at this point.
Yeah.
And so there's already this level of credibility in that they know that I'm really good at what I do.
So they're not coming to you nickel and dime you. It's back to your point. It's about the service. Yeah. And I think that goes back to what you said earlier, when you're talking about starting in your career, again, agents need to understand it's not, when someone hires you, it's not, you're not doing them a service just to write an offer and volley it over and hope something happens.
Right.
You took the time to get to know this broker, build some rapport, to stand out so your deal could get done. And ultimately that other broker on the other side wants to get the deal done, but they want to know that you're a sane person. You're not going to, flip out on them during escrow. You're going to, approach problems the right way.
Right.
You understand the process. You've closed, obviously, 650 escrows. So you've got the experience. But I think that's so important. And people need to take, I think, a note on that one because, if you're not trying to stand out, then you're not going to stand out and your client's not going to get the deal. Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
You can't just be an order taker. You really can't. Like, they don't need anyone for that. Right? Like, if that were the case, then very soon there would just be a form online that will help you fill out the offer. Yeah. And then it'll send it over.
ChatGPT will be your broker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But there's so much more to it than that in the brokerage business. And literally having a good agent versus a bad agent can make a world of difference. And it can make the difference between you getting the house that you really love and want and not getting it.
Dude, 100%. How do you deal with clients that don't want to take your advice, and how much leeway do you give them? And when I say not take your advice, I mean like on important issues, because I'll give you one quick example here in my question. But Greg and I have a listing, and it came to us from somebody else that was amazing that we helped sell a house and buy a house, and this guy's the greatest guy, and he referred us to somebody that he knew. We took this listing, and it's way out of area, and it's not that expensive. And we didn't even really, it's not about the commission for us, right? Someone gives you a referral, you're like, hey, I'll take care of them. I don't care what the price is on the house. But, and I'd posted someone on my Instagram, but these guys were, these ladies, we'll leave them unnamed. And they're very nice in a lot of ways, but when it comes to selling their house, they don't get it. It's like, hey, every person that comes, has to put on, a mask and gloves and booties, and they can only bring 3 people in at a time. And we don't want any kids in the house, and we don't want this, and we don't want this. It was a huge list of stuff. And I'm reading this going, Greg, we are never going to sell their house if this is what it's going to be. Right. And one of the interesting things about me working with Greg so closely over the last 10 years is that he's more of the good cop. I'm more of the bad cop, and I can be very charming and the good cop too when I need to be. And generally I'm, I love people, but I kind of have a much shorter attention span or patience level for that kind of stuff. And especially after 20 years almost in this business also. And so, he was kind of taking more of the placating route, whatever, it's fine, this and that. And I was like, dude, we're going to rip this Band-Aid off today. So we called them on Sunday, and I was like, listen, You're either handing this listing back, or we got to get real about this, because just like if we were your surgeon or your lawyer or anybody else hired to do a service, you know, it's not that, you know, we want to be, you know, we don't want to be argumentative or tell you what you're totally wrong. But at a certain point, you hired us to get you the end result of getting your house sold, you know, doing it with a nice escrow, getting the right price. And if you're going to scare off every buyer up front, you know, we're not your brokers. And it was a really tough conversation, and they were really pissed off for about 24 hours. And we actually had to even get our buddy involved that originally sent the referral and to kind of, you know, bridge the gap a little bit. But now they're totally cool. We had a couple showings. We might get an offer, knock on wood, in a day or two. We got some stuff happening, but it took that conversation. And that's what I was, you know, when I sat down with Greg afterwards, I was like, listen, bro, yes, you want to be respectful to people. It's their house. You know, they ultimately make the decisions on how certain things go down, but you can't be afraid to look at somebody and say, look, what you're doing is wrong for this reason. And this is why it's not going to work. And this is why we're not going to get the end result. And if you don't have those tough conversations, then you're just going to be finding yourself like Bill Murray in Groundhog's Day. It's another Groundhog's Day, you know, it's whatever, you know? So, so how do you deal with tough conversations like that? Back to my question. And have you ever had to give back any listings if people are just totally just not going to listen?
You know, I can count on one hand the number of listings that I had to give back.
Okay.
So not a lot, but I have done it before when someone is just so outrageous to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's out of 650. If I can count on one hand, that's a very small percentage, right? But you know, when clients are hiring us as their broker, they're counting on our leadership and they're counting on our expertise, right? They're not doing it themselves. They want a professional. So just like you mentioned, if you go to your doctor or you go to your attorney, they're going to tell you, they're going to diagnose you just as we would as their real estate professional, right? And so I think that what's worked for me really well is that, I'll just say it, I'm a very likable person, and I'm not abrasive.
Yeah.
And I can deliver a message to someone with white gloves and have it still get the message across to them.
Nice.
Now, don't get me wrong. Like if I'm dealing with a jerk agent on the other hand, and they're being a problem, I will absolutely put them in their place.
Yeah.
When I'm dealing with a client,
of course, it's a slightly different. Right?
Yeah. There's kindness that comes through my voice and through my demeanor, but there's authority, and you have to, and that's something that you have to learn. You have to put in the reps.
Yep.
And you know, earlier on in the business, like many agents out there that are just getting started, you are scared to say something to them.
You need that sale.
That would lead them to believe like you're not the right person for the job.
You need that sale. You're already a little self-conscious. You don't have a lot of experience. You're the young guy or young gal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny how that changes over time though. And I think if you operate from that point of sincerity and confidence when you're like, hey, I know this is right. And like you said, you thread that line of not being too crazy to them, but you have to, because if not, it's just, and that was what, you know, our conversation was with Greg is like, look, this whole thing's turned around now. Now we kept messing around and we're afraid to have that tough conversation, which really wasn't that tough.
Yeah.
It's a little tough, but you know, but we had to just get through it. And so I think that's important sometimes.
Yeah.
Like you said, you got to be the leader in the room, you know,
100%.
That's why they hired you.
And, you know, it also has to be their decision too. So I help people lead them to what I believe is the right decision to make.
Yeah. But
I give them the option.
They got to drink from the well.
So like even not your example, but just taking an example of if they're needing some guidance on something, right? Let's say you're working with a buyer, you're in a multiple offer situation and you get a counter offer back. Well, I can only dig up as much information as I can. Then I can provide that to them and I can give them their options. Typically it's 3, right? You can, you know, counter them at the same price that you came in at. You can raise your counter, right? Or you can, you know, and then give them another option, right? And then I will tell them what I would do.
Okay.
And I would tell them, given all my experience, let me share with you how I would handle this, but it's got to be your call.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they listen to me, but when they know they have the decision,
they like that. Brings their guard down too. And again, it feels sincere because it is. It's like, hey, it's your decision, but this is what I would do.
I would go up to 1.4 million on this property based on everything that I've seen and talked to the listing agent on, but it's got to be your call. And then I'll also let them know, I don't know if another buyer is going to come in at the last minute and offer 1.420, 1.425.
Gabe, you're trying to make me spend too much money here, man. What happens if
Yeah.
You know?
What I tell them is I don't want to tell you the price to put in, because what happens if someone else comes in higher, then I was the guy that lost the house for you because I told you to come in at that 100%. Price.
And you know how mad people get? I mean, and disappointed and upset people get if they lose a home that's perfect for them over $5,000 or 10 grand or whatever it is, which makes zero difference on a home you're going to hold for X amount of years.
Right.
So it's true, you know?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, how important would you say that marketing and branding is to your business today? I mean, more than ever, being that we're in the digital world, but just from a whole, right? And second part of that question is, why do you think so many business people, but in this case in particular, real estate agents, sort of fall short of the marketing and branding side of things, whether that's from not being consistent or not starting or being afraid of getting on camera or meeting people or whatever. But let's talk about marketing and branding. Cause I from when I look at you, I feel like you've really leaned into marketing and branding over your career. Yeah. You're out there, you're here today on a podcast, you're out there doing videos, you're at events. Yep. You got a nice social media following.
Thank you.
But it's so important in today's day and age, and so many people fall short of it.
So like when I think of my whole career, like I started marketing pretty much, after my first year in the business. Okay. First year was really, I had no budget, right? So it was, and social media wasn't even around, right? I'm really dating myself, but
I think maybe MySpace was around, but that might've been it. But I don't think anyone was putting real estate stuff on MySpace.
No. So, I mean, I would print out flyers and go door knocking, and that would be my marketing, right? Okay. I would meet people face to face, right? And then as soon as I started getting some money from sales, I would set some money aside and I would start with the postcards, right? And like digital marketing is so crucial right now, but there's still agents that do a tremendous amount of business in their farm areas that market to those neighborhoods with print mail, right?
Exactly.
And so I was literally at the time, like 04, 05, 06, I was in people's mailboxes every week.
Dude, they were getting sick of you.
They were getting so sick of me.
Just son of a,
But you want that in marketing, right? Look at Grant Cardone, right?
Oh,
like
God.
You either love him or you hate him.
He's everywhere.
He's everywhere.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care if everyone.
I love Grant Cardone, by the way.
I do too. Yeah. I do too. He doesn't care if people hate him, but people know about him, right?
Yeah.
It's the same sort of thing. So I mean, back when I was doing Ladera Ranch, like I would go to lunch or dinner at a local restaurant in there, and I would like literally see people like talking to their spouse and like looking over at me. I'm like, oh, they must have seen
There's
my
the
marketing.
Mailbox guy, the mailbox realtor.
They must have seen my marketing or something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look, that's what you want. And when you take it now on social media, it's obviously transitioned for me over the years, right? Like I always consider myself as a real estate entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right. I am a licensed broker. So I've got my agent side of my business, and I've got my development side of the business.
Yep.
And at one point I was like, gosh, how do I do both? I was almost in my head a little bit like,
I've struggled with the same thing.
I don't want to like be putting out all this content about, just the real estate investment side and then have people think that I'm not there to help them.
They shouldn't call you because you're not taking brokers serious or too busy or you're not going to want to do it.
Exactly.
I've struggled with the same thing over my career.
But here's what I've learned. When you have an investment side of your business, it builds so much credibility.
Yeah.
Right? Because I can actually, most agents out there do not transact like I do on my own personal transactions, right? Like maybe they buy a house, maybe for their family, maybe they do an investment property, but I can literally tell my clients, like, I'm not talking about for clients. I've transacted over 200 transactions on my own behalf.
That's huge.
Right? So I know, Brandon, like if you're my seller or if you're my buyer, I've been in your shoes. Yeah. Like I know exactly what you're thinking. I've done that over 200 times, right?
That's rare.
And so that's what I've done on my social media now. Like I combine them. Like, yes, I do postings on my listings. Yes, I do postings on my properties or my success stories on the brokerage side of the business. But then I combine everything that I'm doing on the real estate investment side.
Yeah.
Because now I've started a real estate debt fund. So now I'm raising capital where I need to be present out there, letting people know about that opportunity, because whether it's, a past client or a friend or an acquaintance that I've met playing pickleball or whatever it is, they now are seeing stuff like, oh, Gabe doesn't just sell houses for clients. He also invests. Oh, and here's another thing.
And we can get involved in it.
We can get involved with it and invest with him.
Yeah.
So that's and consistency is really important.
Dude, you hit it on the head. I mean, that consistency, I think a lot of people, and just even speaking for myself, is that, consistency is so hard with the marketing. And really that's kind of a cop out to say, but it feels hard in the moment sometimes because it's just another thing. You got to be repetitive. You got to be repetitive. And I think there's ways to make it feel less repetitive in terms of like, if you batch your content, you maybe make a few weeks worth of stuff and then you can drop it. And we do that with the podcast. But I've noticed the same thing, that like, it's tough. Sometimes you start something, but the follow through is the key. And if you look at the people that are successful with their marketing and branding, they don't let up. Right. They are just like the drop of water, just do, and it keeps it going. And people just know, like your postcard showing up in their mailbox. They just know When I open that thing, I'm going to see Gabe's face again. You know, when I go to Instagram or I go to YouTube or I go to whatever it is you're pushing, I think that is absolutely, from what I've seen anyway, absolutely the most important. And it's funny because so many people, they have kind of a fear of like rejection or sounding stupid or saying something stupid. It's a little different. You make a video, you shoot it 10 times or edit it or whatever, but you know, like hopping on podcasts, you know, we've had people that are like are going to come on, but they're just like, man, I don't know. What if I say something that doesn't sound good? I'm like, guys, you got to put yourself out there. First of all, this is a conversation. It's not, you know, but you know, the point is like, I think people are so worried. Some people are so worried about how they're going to look or what they're going to say. But the reality is nobody really cares about that. You know, people want to see that you're consistent and they want to hear the message almost subconsciously, because we're all multitasking and looking at stuff and, oh, Gabe did another video. That's fucking cool. I like that. Hey, nice job, Gabe. You know, but are we sitting there listening to someone stuttered or said one wrong word or something? No. Yeah. The bulk of us are not.
And we're all humans.
And we're all human. And it's actually kind of endearing if someone does that.
Mistakes.
Yeah, 100%, you know? Yeah. So I think that's for me is like, I've seen people, it's like you said, the Grant Cardone, and it's just be out there, be omnipresent, push your business, be proud of it, you know, put it out there.
You got to put in the reps. Put in the reps to do. And like I look at videos that I did back in like 2008.
Yeah.
Right? Like
how are those? We put one of those up side by side. I wish we could put it on the screen. And we put one side by side of you from 2008, you know, making a video. And then you put one here today. I'm assuming it's a big difference.
It's pretty substantially different. Man. Yeah. Like it should be. Right?
It should be. Yeah.
You know, after doing thousands of videos after all those years, right? Like it's like you build your reps, you get better at it every day. You don't get better at it if you don't try it. And everyone's got to start somewhere. Look at Gary V's videos from like when he did the Wine Library TV. Like
dude, he was sitting there, bad lighting, his buddy running the camera, sipping some Pinot or whatever, you know, trying out the different wines, spitting in the bucket. Oh yeah, this has a fruity taste, you know, whatever. And nobody, I don't think anybody watched that shit for probably years. Right. I think he had zero, I mean, and now he's one of the biggest influencers on the planet.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy how that works?
It is.
I mean,
you gotta just start, and you gotta get over it. And look, I can sit here and say that, you know, I've been doing this longer, so I, you know, have gotten a lot more comfortable with it. But that can be the same story for whoever's listening to this, right? Like you got to start somewhere. Everyone sucks at the beginning. Yeah, it's just the fact. Just know that you're gonna suck. Yeah. Put it out there anyway, and get better.
Yeah. What do you say to people that are worried about like the trolls that come on and talk shit to them when they put a post? Should they worry about that? Should they engage back or just fly right over it and not even worry about it?
Do you think like any of those people out there, like we mentioned Grant Cardone, but any of the people out there that are doing really well, like because they've actually built up, there's always gonna be trolls, right? Like
I laugh now when I see them. I don't get a lot of it. And actually, I heard someone say, and it might have been Cardone, like if you're not getting a certain amount of hate, you probably aren't putting out enough content. So I got to step my game up. Yeah. But I do laugh when I see them now. I mean, I used to earlier on, if I put something up and someone was at all critical, I'd be pissed off and fucking texting them back, you know, DMing them back or sending them a message. But you know, now I just kind of laugh. I'm like, yeah, my hair was kind of funny that day, you know. But you know, you kind of, I think you get comfortable just not giving a shit about some internet troll saying something weird.
And that comes down to mental as well. Yeah. Like over the years, I've really, really tried to work on my mental state. Yeah. And you know, you got to be detached from these outcomes, right? Like we're talking about one thing on the social media stuff, but even like when you're talking with clients, right? Like if they sense that you're attached to the outcome, then it's called commission breath, right? Yeah. Like they think that, oh, Gabe just wants to tell us this because sell him his home.
I really need this money next month, Bob. Please take the offer.
I got to pay my mortgage. I got to pay my car payment, right?
Commission breath. I haven't heard that one before. That's a good one. I'm going to use that.
I have gotten so detached from the outcome from when I give a client advice. It's like, what do you want to do? Like, here are the options. What do you want to do? Like, it's up to you. Like I've had a client selling a $6 million home to, and like they were, you know, concerned about moving forward on something, and I just kind of lay it all out there for them. I'm like, but it's your call. You're the ones living there, not me, right? Yeah. And they
brings down the guard, makes them comfortable.
They like the house. Yeah.
100%. Because you didn't have the commission breath, you know? Exactly. That's a good one. No commission breath. We're going to put that on a shirt or something, you know? That's a good one.
It's important.
So, okay. What I really, really, really want to dive into, and this has been great, I really want to dive into the investment side because as a fellow investor and broker combo, kind of like you, I really want to hear everything you're doing on the flip side. I know you just launched, we were talking about earlier, you also just touched on it. Yeah. You're launching a new debt fund to where people can get involved and invest in your deals. But let's start with the flips, how you're finding them, how you're managing the construction. Just kind of jump into that, please.
Yeah.
Because I'm really excited about that.
Absolutely. So, for especially, in Southern California, finding them is probably one of the biggest problems, right?
Yep.
It's the hardest to do. We're in a very competitive market. There's a lot of other wholesalers and there's a lot of other investors. But for me, so Realm Residential is my retail brokerage side, right? Realm Residential brokered by Real. Okay. Yep. Even though I'm a broker myself, I still like being with a big brokerage. I've just launched Realm Capital. So now
you heard it here, guys. Realm Capital, let's go.
It's vertically integrated, as you would speak. So Realm Residential, Realm Capital. Realm Capital, what I did, because I've been raising money for years, but I've been doing it kind of more on a one-off basis.
Right. So you find a deal and you go to an investor and say, I need $300,000 for this deal or $500,000 for this deal or whatever it is. They come in on the deal, you do all the paperwork, close the deal.
Exactly.
Which isn't bad because some people like to just see the deal and know the one deal they're coming into.
Yeah.
But what are the downsides? You're in an escrow. You got to move fast. You have to go through a lot of different people to find someone.
There's a number of downsides. One, from the operator's standpoint, if I don't have the cash liquid and available in my account, then I'm going to be less aggressive making offers, right? Because I might be, even if I see a great deal and it's $3 million or whatever, and I can sell it for $5 million once I put $750 into it or whatever, like I'm going to be like, oh geez, I got to go quickly raise the money for that, right? Yeah. And they're only going to give me a 5-day, contingency period or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to be continuously put in that position, right? So if you're new and you're starting out, find a deal, find an investor,
right?
Depending on at what your experience level is, like sometimes people have to JV with an investor if the investor is going to be putting up all the money, right? Yeah. And that could be a 50-50 split, that could be a 60-40 split. So many different ways to cut it. What I started doing was have an investor come in as a debt investor, and they would fund that project, and I would pay them a rate of return on their money, like call it 12%.
And you usually pay a flat rate. Is that what you do? Just to keep it just
like 1% a month, right? So for every $200,000 you put down, you're getting $2,000 a month.
$2,000 a month. Okay. If it takes you 3 months or 4 months or 6 months or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So the problem with that from the investor standpoint is their money can sit idle when we're out of projects, right?
So they finish a project with you. Hey, Gabe, that was great. I made $12,000, boom, for 6 months. This is awesome. And then it might take you 3 months to find another deal or 4 months to get them into another deal.
Investors that are wanting a new deal.
Right.
So they're not getting their full, let's call it 10 or 12%, right? They might get 7 or 8 because
annualized
it's out
with those gaps.
Exactly. Because it's idle for 2 months and it's not in a project, then it's back in a project. Yep. So with Realm Capital, what I've done is I've actually filed with the SEC.
Okay.
So I'm a 506D or a 506 Reg D.
A Reg D.
Okay. Reg D.
Yep.
506C. So
you can,
technical terms, all it means is I can advertise it.
And they have to be accredited if it's a C, no?
Correct.
Okay.
So I take on an accredited investor. What's an accredited investor? If you're a single person, $200,000 in income a year annually, or $1 million net worth. If you're a married couple, it's $300,000 a year in income,
or a million, million net worth.
Okay, so the SEC wants us to do that because they don't want us taking money from someone who doesn't have very much money or doesn't have the have the risk to take on to invest in a project because they could lose it, type of thing. So they want them to be sophisticated investors.
Right.
But now it allows me to get on social media and have these conversations with you, because if I wasn't a 506C, then I couldn't have this conversation with you.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's technically not legal for me to raise capital if I'm not in the right structure. So now I can take on and I can offer you, Brandon, you want to invest $250,000 with me?
Giddy up.
Okay. I'm going to pay you 12% on your money. You make $2,500 a month. Just going to sit. Boom. We're gonna pay you quarterly distributions.
And it rolls, and it just keeps rolling.
And then I'm going to give you reports. I'm going to show you the properties that we're flipping. And because it's a fund, I don't have to come to you every time I've got a deal.
Yeah.
So the money is sitting in our account, in our Realm Capital bank account. We allocate it to projects as they come up, and then you get your return. You don't have to deal with the contractors. You don't have to deal with the marketing. You don't have to deal with finding the properties, going on seller appointments. Managing the contractors is probably the hardest of them.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the whole sales process.
That's
so
amazing.
We handle everything from A to Z. All you do is partner with us. You get a quarterly distribution based on the amount that you invest, and we consider you a partner, not only an investor, and we share everything with you on what's going on with the projects.
They can come stop by a project if they want.
Totally.
How is the fund open-ended, or does it close at a certain point, or is there like a dollar amount you're trying to say? Because a lot of people will say, okay, I'm raising fund 1, we're going to raise $2 million or $5 million or $1 million or whatever, and then they'll do a subsequent funds. But how are you structured?
It's a
with
good
this first
question.
one?
It's an open-ended fund.
Okay.
The way we're filed with the SEC, we have the ability to raise $100 million. Right.
Wow.
Now, that's not my goal in the short term. Right. Like once we get up to a certain level, I'll be looking at bigger projects like what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
I'll be taking down larger, commercial or multifamily. This, first fund is mainly for Southern California, residential fix and flip.
Love it.
And so we buy properties from, 700-800 on the low end. Mm-hmm. Most of our price points like $1 million, $1.5 million, but we'll do some higher end ones too in the $2 to $3 million.
I was going to say, I noticed just from following you on social media, it seemed like a lot of the homes that you were putting out that you guys had flipped and finished were pretty high dollar. These aren't like selling $600,000 houses. Like they're pretty impressive in the remodels. Man, if you guys haven't checked out Gabe's stuff, check it out because dude, and we'll drop his socials here in a minute, but dude, very impressive. I've been watching your stuff and I just think this, if you want to invest in real estate, you have 2 options. You can either be an active investor or a passive investor. And a lot of people start off thinking they're going to be the active investor. But when they quickly realize that they have a day job, because most people do in that situation, they're not all just realtors that want to start flipping homes or buying apartments or whatever. It's a lot of time and effort to do this. And back to what you said earlier, you need the experience. When someone invests with you in Realm Capital, right? You've done 650 transactions. You've done over 200 for yourself. You've done $700 million in volume. You've lived in Orange County for X amount of time. You know the brokers, you know the neighborhoods, right? And I would be very leery. I'm going to say this. I would be very leery if I was investing with somebody and they didn't have any type of private placement memorandum, PPM, or SEC docs. Because I know for a fact there's people running around raising money for real estate deals on a handshake, on a napkin, on a bullshit promissory note. And a lot of times those are the deals that you have an issue with. Mm-hmm. And I think as, at the consumer level, as the passive investor level, you want to invest with somebody that has the experience, that is very knowledgeable and all that, but that also has taken the time to have those legitimate backstops as far as the SEC registration, because if not, it could be an outcome you're not happy with.
No, I agree 100%. There's a lot of pitfalls that you can hit in this business if you don't know what you're doing. So if you're an investor thinking about placing your money with an operator, you got to vet them and you got to know that they know what they're doing. Right. And they have to have a track record. Yeah. Like if you're just getting started as an investor, that's when you go to friends and family, like people that know you, your blood, whatever. Yeah. And that can have some issues as well, right? That's a different podcast.
Back to the Thanksgiving thing. Right. Hey, sorry, Uncle Bob. We'll get on the next one. Yeah.
But if you're like an accredited investor and you're looking to place your money in something different than, just the stock market or mutual funds or crypto or something like that, and you want to diversify and you're looking at real estate, there's a lot of options out there, but you're going to want to partner with someone with a track record, and you're going to want to partner with someone that knows what they're doing. And so with me at Realm Capital, because I've done this for so long, and now I'm just officially launching my fund, and I'm opening it up to other people, whether it be past clients or people that I know, as well as people I don't know. But now I'm officially set up for it, and they have all my years of experience. You asked me before, how am I getting these deals, right? Yeah. So we've got different marketing campaigns that go direct to seller. A lot of deals I get are actually from brokers. So if you're an agent or a broker, we're typically right now looking mainly in Orange County. We'll occasionally take something, in the surrounding counties like LA or Inland Empire or San Diego. But if you're an agent, we let you represent us. So even though I'm licensed myself,
they can still get the commission.
They can still get the commission when they bring us a deal.
Wow.
So, for me, credibility has been a really important thing. Yeah. So you're an agent. How many text messages and emails do you get from investors that are looking for deals?
Oh yeah.
Like daily.
Tons.
Like 5
all the
a day.
Time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I try to differentiate myself. Now, nothing wrong with wholesaling, but there's a lot of wholesalers out there that are pretending to be the end buyer. And I believe in wholesaling with transparency. Like if you're not going to be the actual one to take down the property, then be transparent.
I could do a whole show on wholesalers. And one of my really good friends, Rudy, he's awesome. He's here. He's with a company called Acquired. He's right here in LA.
I know them.
You know Acquired? Uh-huh. Yeah, good dudes. I love those guys. And they're putting on events and stuff. They're really awesome. They are good. They are great. Yeah. But dude, there's so many wholesalers that drive me crazy. I could do an episode about it. And it's just because we've all been there where they say they're going to buy it. They're really shopping at 14 people. Then it comes back to you and it's a daisy chain. Now this property is like $2 million and start at 1.2, or it's just, I agree. If you're going to wholesale with transparency. Yeah. And it's really cool. So you don't do any wholesaling. If you get involved,
I've done some in the past,
but like primarily speaking, if you look at a deal, you're going to buy it. It's not like you're out trying to tie up deals.
That's not like our end goal to wholesale properties, right? Like it's a one-off if we've got too many projects going on at once. Yeah. And I'll always tell the person. Yeah. Like if I'm dealing with an agent, like, look, we've got multiple projects going on right now, but I probably have someone else for this and I can make the deal work.
Then it's wholesaling with transparency. Right. Yeah.
A lot of agents don't even really know what's going on in the back end. They don't know the whole process. Like there's the retail real estate and there's a wholesale real estate. And a lot of agents don't. So I actually, in my marketing to agents, I do a lot of education and I let them know, like, there's no daisy chain here. Like you're dealing with the decision maker.
Yeah.
If I tell you I'm going to buy the house, unless something unforeseen comes up on the inspection, like the sewer pipe is blown and we didn't have that in our rehab budget. Yeah. We come up with a major structural issue that we weren't aware of.
Otherwise, you're not just retrading. You're big on keeping your word, and your handshake means something.
And that's the problem when wholesalers come in. Yeah. Now I'm going to have probably a lot of mad wholesalers at me after this podcast, right?
Screw you,
But the
Gabe.
reality is, from the agent perspective, they eat up sellers' time. Yeah. They eat up the agent's time, and then they tell you they're going to buy it at a price. And then if their list of buyers won't buy it at that price, then they're coming back for a price reduction.
Yeah.
So agents know that if I'm going to get a deal under contract, I'm going to close on that deal,
right?
Unless something unforeseen comes up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's so important, man. Hey, Caden, how are we looking on time? We got another quick 5-10 minutes here to wrap up. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure we got to chime into Caden sometimes because I want to ask you. That's go to the construction for a moment.
Yeah,
dude. I know because I do a lot of construction too. I mean, so we've got this 50 unit that we're remodeling up in Sacramento right now. I was telling you about spending a couple $1 million, and I had a contractor up there that was with me for like 5 years since we started like doing our multifamily business. Literally a month after this deal starts, after we buy it, paid $8 million for it. Like we're like, okay, it's our biggest deal yet. We're going in, whatever. And then all of a sudden he's like getting a divorce with his wife, or there's something going on. He's gone. He is gone. I mean, he was just like, dude, it was like a day I got a call like, hey, this guy's not on the job anymore. I'm like, what? So we brought in a different contractor, and he was doing pretty good work, great quality work. I mean, I can't say anything about that, but moving a little slow, phasing the units wrong. Let's go inside of 30 units instead of get 10 done so the leasing team can lease those 10 and go to the next. So just some of that kind of stuff. So the point is that over the last couple of weeks, I've been working to renegotiate a contract with them to say, hey, time out. Let's get this kind of buttoned up on what is the final cost to finish and what's our deadline with some teeth in the contract. So he has to actually perform. And then he basically just this last week says, you know what, this is getting too much for me. I don't want to sign a new contract with you. I'm out. So now it's 2 contractors I've blown on this one job, right? And so now we found somebody else that came, highly recommended, just like the last guy. So we'll see. It's always, you do this and you try to vet him out. But we're in the process of a new contract, and I'm pretty confident that we're going to get it done. And there's already been so much work started. It's only another couple months of construction, but it's just like a reminder. And I was kind of like laughing at myself at the office the other day, like even when you think you know it all and you've been through every freaking construction scenario of people getting hurt, contractors quitting, stuff costing more, just random bullshit you find on the job. You start thinking, oh, okay, I've pretty much seen it all. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, buy a deal. Now my third contractor midstream, right? Yeah. And so I guess it goes back to a couple of things. Number one, the value of somebody investing passively with someone like you or I on a project, because we're in the trenches, we're swinging, we're correcting the ship, we're handling these things that are not fun to have to deal with. But I want to ask you that question of like, how do you deal with similar situations, whether it's change orders, subcontractors not showing up, contractors bailing? Have you ever thought about getting your own contractor license and just bypassing everybody maybe at some point? Or how do you approach the construction side of it? And I know it's a lot to unpack again, but it's a big subject, and it's kind of the make or break when you're dealing with construction, when you're dealing with these flips or apartments or whatever, that how you mandate the jobs, it's a big make or break.
Yeah. So where do I start? I can start with where I started and how I do it now.
Yeah.
Okay. So where I started was almost project managing the flip myself.
Okay.
Meaning hiring the painter, hiring the cabinet
You're like
guy.
hiring all the subs directly.
Right. Hiring all the subs directly. Do I recommend that? Not necessarily, but it really got me to know construction.
Right.
Okay. And if you're going to be in the investment space where you're rehabbing apartments or you're rehabbing properties, you got to know.
Yeah.
You got to learn construction because otherwise you get taken advantage of. Like I remember one of my first flips, the guy was coming in and he was giving me this price, and I hired a GC. Then he gave me this price to repipe the house. And it seemed off to me, but I really wasn't sure. So I started asking around, and he was trying to hose me.
Wow.
And this was like, early on in my flipping career. Luckily, I didn't get, because I asked the right questions and I found people that knew more than I did. But like, you'll get eaten alive by contractors. You'll get taken advantage of.
100%.
So like, in the past, has someone come to me and pointed out something and they're like, oh yeah, we've got to fix this. And like, when I do my research on it, it's like, no, we don't. That's not a $5,000 fix. That's a $650 fix, right? So that's that part of it. The other part of it is I have learned over the years, especially when you're flipping houses, you're wanting to try to save as much money as possible. You spend so much more money hiring the cheapest labor, it's not even funny. Like, I've learned this lesson and I'm not going back to those days.
You think you're saving money, and
what happens? You think you're saving money, you got to fix it.
Yeah.
You come back that you got the cheapest bid on the painter, you haven't seen his work, so you haven't really vetted it. You go back, there's drip marks everywhere, the finish is awful, the baseboards are brushed instead of sprayed, and everything just looks terrible. And you got to go, I can't bring this flip to market. Like I gotta go fix this. So I've now learned, and now I've gotten to a point where I have my team.
Yeah.
And I've got guys that have worked for me for a while, and so I know their work. I work with a GC now that, we manage certain things like buying the design features of the house. We select the tile. Well, obviously we select everything, but like, he's buying. I'm not going to Home Depot anymore. I used to do that.
Yeah.
I used to go to Home Depot and literally fill up my card and then do online orders and do all of that kind of stuff. No, he's responsible for getting everything like rough and like baseboards and doors and all that kind of stuff. I'm sourcing the tile, I'm sourcing the cabinets, the
bathtub, or
the bathtub, the plumbing fixtures, all of that kind of stuff. And then I just get it delivered to the job site.
Yeah.
So I have a team member now that, we've got our SKUs.
So you've got someone good that you work with.
Yeah.
But you're not just handing everything to them. You're saying, hey, I'm going to work on this kind of things, but you're going to deal with the other 80 or 90% of this. And now you're into this nice working. Yeah. How long have you been working with that GC?
This particular, he's moved up in the ranks. He started as my flooring guy.
Wow.
He started as my flooring guy probably back in 2010.
I love to see that, by the way. That's awesome.
And he's just grown, and he got bigger, and now he has his own showroom, and like he was doing flooring and then kitchen and bathrooms, and now he does everything.
Yeah.
So, we know how each other work. I know what he's going to charge me for a bathroom. I know what he's going to charge me for a kitchen, depending on the size.
Yeah.
I know my price per square foot for flooring. I know what it costs to install. So now it's kind of like
down to a science.
Now we kind of know when we walk in a property, I can walk it. I can say, oh, okay, well, this is 1,700 square feet. I don't have to do the majors like roof. I don't have to do the HVAC. Okay, this is going to cost me 90 grand, right?
Yeah.
Like as an example, okay, we need windows. Okay, we're going to add another $6 grand on for windows. We're going to get vinyl replacement windows, like these types of things. So I can walk a property now and know pretty close what it's going to cost. If I get into a bigger house, if it's a 3,000 square foot house, I know it's going to be a $300,000 remodel.
Yeah.
Like if it's in a $2 million neighborhood, I just know by the time we do everything in a 3,300, 3,400 square foot house, we're going to be paying somewhere between $275 and $300 grand.
Absolutely. So, isn't that funny how the prices change? I mean, it just happens over time, right? Back to the comment about being in real estate for 20 years, whatever. But I feel like, $100,000 was a big renovation budget, like not that long ago, but it is, you'll spend $300,000. So like I was mentioning to you before, what I would consider us professional multifamily guys, and we do flips kind of here and there, right? Mm-hmm. Just because opportunistically we're in the market down here in LA. And so, things come across our plate or our desk or whatever. And we just finished a flip that we did in Brentwood over here.
Nice.
Real nice neighborhood. We bought the condo for like, I think $1,025,000, something under $1.1 million. It was $1,025,000 or something. And, but we put probably 175 grand into it. Maybe even a little bit more when I do the final math here. But originally we thought, we'll put 120, 130 in, but we got in, and it's just a lot of little things that kind of, and we kind of took the impression like, okay, let's do it right. But we got the margin, right? I mean, it's back on the market now for $1,550,000, $1,550,000. Yeah. And we'll see where it ends up. But But it's just, it's interesting, all the things you're talking about, because it's just, you got to have it down to a little bit of a science, especially if you're doing the amount that you're doing as far as on the flip side. And having a good team is everything, man. That's the most important thing. Because if not, you're just going through one person and then you lose time. And that's almost, that becomes the bigger issue. When you start losing time, you're sitting over here at the property that you're paying out 12% money to, whatever an underlying, hard money loan might be.
Right.
So yeah, you got to move fast on these things. But how long does a typical flip take you from start to finish? Is there a typical timeline?
Well, there's 2 timelines.
Yeah.
Okay. Timeline 1 is if we're just going to go in there and do everything, replace all the finishes in the house. I mean, I just did a 1,700 square foot house in Irvine, in and out in 35 days.
Wow. Impressive.
Start to finish.
Impressive.
Okay. Now, some people might say, well, were you getting permits? On that particular case, we pull permits on a lot of our projects.
Great item you just brought up, by the way.
I'll share how I do it. So anytime that I am changing up things that would be structural, typically getting a permit for it, right? If I am taking out the kitchen and replacing the kitchen and the sinks going in the same spot and we're doing new cabinets, look, you can still get caught on that and they can still tell you, no, you got to go get a permit for that. We elect a lot of times to just not in that case. And then if we get caught, then we go and pull the permit. Okay. But we're not changing anything in the structure. We're not changing walls and that kind of stuff.
And you're using licensed subs, you got a GC on board, all your experience. See, I mean, because that's what people don't understand too, that some people, I had a neighbor at one of our flips saying, why aren't you doing this or why aren't you doing that? And the problem is that California, especially Los Angeles, but California has made it so difficult with the permit process. It's really a shame because, I mean, if you go to pull a permit for something, it takes you 2 or 3 months to get through something. I mean, at least what I've found for the permits we've pulled, of course, some things are over the counter, it can be much faster. But, when you're talking about something taking 60 days, 120 days just to get someone to stamp something and say, we like your remodel. Right. I mean, that's a tough pill to swallow sometimes. Back to what you said, if you're adding an ADU or you're changing the whole floor plan around or you're doing something major, then of course that's completely different.
Yeah.
But you got to know, I think that's what makes you a good investor is you know when to do that and when not to.
You have to know, what I always do is just a little bit of like investment advice for anyone listening is I always look at the end result and then work our way backwards. So what will this property be like or what will this property be worth if we do X to it?
Yeah.
And then I figure out that, and then that helps us figure out what we can spend on it, and then what ultimately we can buy it for, right? And so, like that deal was 35 days for a cosmetic reno. I did a big one like 3 months ago for 3,400 square feet. We did that in 2 months.
Wow.
Okay. Bigger, more bathrooms, larger square footage. Everything takes a little bit longer. But then I've got one I did last year in Laguna Niguel that was like, from start to finish, from the time we closed escrow on, it was like a 9-month hold.
Yeah,
and it was probably about 7 months. We went fully permitted. We took out a huge wall. We actually added a bathroom in the structure. We didn't add square footage to it, but the permitting process took us 2 months or so.
There you go, bingo. Yeah.
And we replaced everything in that house.
Wow.
I mean, it was a brand new house. It was almost like a rebuild.
Wow.
So, but and we'll do that when we know that we can get a big enough spread, right? So I think it all just comes down to like what the holding costs are going to be and what you can turn that property into.
What the demand is for the neighborhood, right? Like you said, is it a $3 million neighborhood? Is it more people that want more space? How big's the house?
Right.
So that's, and I bet at this point in your career, like you said, you can walk into a house and pretty much almost know instantly, right? You can do I just did a video this week on napkin math, for multifamily, but it's basically, it applies to anything. It's kind of like the idea that if you're in this business of real estate investing, you got to know your napkin math. I can sit at Starbucks, I could sit right here and just take a piece of paper and someone tells me about an apartment building that they want to sell me. I can have a really good idea of what, we should pay and what kind of profits there. I mean, it's the same thing, right? For you, if you're looking at,
I'll give you my formula if you want it.
Drop it in here if you want to share. Let's hear it.
Napkin math, I can just actually say it verbally in my head, right? So I typically try to buy at 80% of after repair value, less my cost of repairs.
Plus your cost of, okay.
Yeah, so less my cost of repairs.
I see.
So I'll give you an example.
Like 68% or 70%
Yeah,
or
I'll give
whatever.
you an example. Let's say I know it's worth $1 million once it's finished.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to put $100,000 into it.
You'll pay 7.
Exactly.
Yeah.
80% of $1 million is $800,000. Less my rehab of $100,000, I'll pay 7. Now that number can fluctuate a little bit. If I really like the deal, I'll come up a little bit.
I'm going to use this, by the way. You guys should use this too. This is good.
Maybe I'll go to 82%. If I really, really like it and I know we can be in and out in 3 weeks and then put it on the market, maybe I'll even go a little bit higher, but it really depends on the property. But yeah, like if I get anything on my desk in the 80 to 82% range,
then you dig
I'm
in.
A buyer
you
for
are a buyer for it. But that formula is as good as where the goalpost starts. So in other words, sometimes you can sit down and look at comps for a neighborhood and you're like, shit, there was one at 950, there's one at $1 million. I think ours is going to be a little nicer or bigger. Maybe we could get 1.1 for it. Yeah. How strict are you when you're looking at those comps, or how conservative are you? Because that makes a big difference too. Because if you're starting at $1 million, so if you're starting in the same example at $1.1 million and it's really not worth that, and then you're doing your formula right, it could screw up the thing. So how conservative are you on your exit value?
Good question. So I've typically throughout my career been pretty conservative.
Okay.
When the market was really hot, I would get more aggressive because I knew we could probably get higher than what I'm thinking we can get
today.
Sign
in the yard, 5 offers today kind of thing, yeah.
But on the reverse side, what we just experienced this year, we had to get way more conservative. Right? Because any flipper that tells you, or any investor or anything that tells you like all their deals that they're doing are great is lying, in my opinion, right? Like 100%. If you don't have some that you break even on or lose a little bit of money, like you're not doing enough, in my opinion, right? And so we had a market shift this year, right? And it hit like that. Like literally, I bought this house in Irvine, and within about 45 days, because we had to get it cleaned and staged, we had it back on the market.
Wow.
And I had a price in mind for it, and there were no buyers showing up.
Wow.
And that's how quickly it changed, because it wasn't like that when I bought it.
Wow.
And so I would say within a 30 to 60 day period, the market really started to shift. So we didn't do as well on that one as we thought we did. We still made money on it. We didn't lose.
Yeah.
But when the market shifts like that, you need to put that into your underwriting. So I typically don't get, when you talk about conservative, I am pretty conservative. I don't say like, oh, the comps are showing $1.05 million and $1.1 million. Oh, but ours is going to be like really nice.
Ours is going to be the nicest.
We can get 1 too.
Yeah. Ours, we're going to have the best bathtub, the best backsplash. Yeah. Look at this grass in the backyard. Yeah, right.
So I'm going to want to try to find comps that are not like original, but are nice.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm going to be putting out a nice product. And then I'm going to want to pull my comps and use that for value.
Okay.
Right? Now, if everything has not been remodeled, then I'm going to want to go back further.
Because that's the question. You see a bunch of stuff that's sold at that lower level, so then how do you really get to that, right? Yeah. So you'll go back farther.
I'll go back further. I'll go out further on my radius if it makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm never going to go into a different city. I'm never going to go over onto another side of the freeway or something like that. Right. But in Orange County, it's a lot of tracks and neighborhoods, right? Yeah. So I'll try to look in that geographic area of like for like properties.
Yeah.
If it's not in my immediate track of 200 or 300 homes, I'll try to go out further, but I'm wanting to try to find properties that have been updated. Doesn't have to be brand new, but something that's not like a 1970s, original kitchen. Like I want to see something that was remodeled in 2020 or 2023 or something like that, right?
Wow.
So that's what I'll use for my comps, and that's how I'll determine the value.
Man. Well, dude, I appreciate it. I mean, I know these guys are going to appreciate hearing that too, because it's really cool that you break it down to where someone can pick up those tidbits and apply it to their own business.
Yeah, absolutely.
All you guys out there making it happen, you got to bring Gabe some deals too, or invest in Realm Capital, know. But what I want to find out before we drop all your stuff here, you going to sell another 700 million on top of the 7 you already did? Where are you going, buddy?
Yeah,
where are you going, man?
I think I'll get to there a lot quicker than the 20 years it took me to get there in the first place. So let's say in the next 5 to 7. Yeah.
I love that, bro. Yeah. Well, okay, so if somebody wants to get involved with a Realm Capital, if they want to invest in Realm Capital, if they want to book a call with you, follow you on social media, where do they find you? How do they get to you?
Perfect. So social media, I'm on Instagram, GabeColeRealEstate.com.
GabeColeRealEstate.com.
Actually, Gabe Cole Real Estate on Instagram.
Right.
Okay. For Realm Capital, RealmCapitalFund.com.
RealmCapitalFund.com. And they can go there, get information, and figure out how to do the deal.
Yep. Shows our track record on there. It shows how to learn more, shows the different tiers of investments that we have, and you can just click learn more or book a call right from the site.
Wow. Well, there you have it, guys. We got a lot of nuggets today. We got the $700 million man, 650 escrows out here launching funds, making stuff happen. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Yeah. We're going to drop your socials in this so everybody will be able to see it. And bro, really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you having me. It was
a fun one.
It was
I loved
fun,
it.
man.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it, man.
Thank
That's
you.
a wrap.
Thank you.